Hello again to another Agakala reaction. Today we will be watching Why Are White People Called Caucasian? From Today I Found Out. Another great channel that I haven't really watched anything in a really long time. This is an older video though, from 2018, so well, let's just watch.
This video is made possible by Mack Weldon, the most comfortable daily essential clothes you'll ever wear. Get 20% off at mackweldon.com using the promo code BRAINFOOD, one word. So in the video today we're answering a viewer question because Kathy P asks us, why do we call white people Caucasian? Alright Kathy, let's crack on. Throughout history, a variety of ways to scientifically classify different groups of humans have popped up, most notable to the story today being a system suggested by a pioneering social scientist called Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. Indeed, he was such a pioneer, he's today considered the father of scientific anthropology. Building upon others' classification schemes, including Carl Linnaeus and Christoph Meiners, Blumenbach developed a five-fold categorization system for humans: Caucasian, Ethiopians, Mongolians, Americans, and Malays. However, it is important to note that while Blumenbach's system did involve color as one dividing factor, with Caucasian being white, Mongoloid being yellow, Malayan being brown, Ethiopian being black, and American as red, his way of classifying different groups of humans was not intended to be based on just a single divider. In fact, when presenting his classification scheme, he explicitly states before outlining it, I must prefix a double warning. First, that on account of the multifarious diversity of the characters, according to their degrees, one or two alone are not sufficient, but we must take several joined together, and then that this union of characters is not so constant, but what it is liable to innumerable exceptions in all and singular of these varieties. Still, this enumeration is so conceived as to give a sufficiently plain and perspicuous notion of them in general. He then goes on to describe the Caucasian grouping as follows. Color white, cheeks rosy, hair brown or chestnut colored, head subglobular, face oval straight, its parts moderately defined, forehead smooth, nose narrow, slightly hooked, mouth small, the primary teeth placed perpendicularly to each jaw, the lips, especially the lower one, moderately open, the chin full and rounded. To this first variety belong the inhabitants of Europe, except the Lapps and the remaining descendants of the Finns, and those of Eastern Asia as far as the River Obi, the Caspian Sea, and the Ganges, and lastly those of Northern Africa. Alright, so where did he actually get the name from? Over the course of his study, he determined that people from the area around Georgia were the ideal archetype for this group. He thus borrowed the name from the Caucasus mountain range along the northern border of Georgia. Or in his own words, I have taken the name of this variety from Mount Caucasus, both because its neighborhood, and especially its southern slope, produces the most beautiful race of men, I mean the Georgian, and because all physiological reasons converge to this, that in that region, it seems we ought with the greatest probability to place the autochthonies of mankind. For in the first place, that stock displays, as we have seen, the most beautiful form of the skull, from which, as from a mean and primeval type, the others diverge by most easy graduations on both sides to the two ultimate extremes, that is, on the one side the Mongolian, on the other side the Ethiopian. Besides, it is white in color, which we may fairly assume to have been the primitive color of mankind, since, as we have shown, it is very easy for that to degenerate into brown, but very much more difficult for dark to become white, when the secretion and precipitation of this carbon
That's been proven it's totally opposite, isn't it? Come on.
pigment has once deeply struck root. It's worthy of note here that, unlike many of his contemporaries, Blumenbach was very outspoken, including writing several essays on the subject against these sort of classifications being used to justify various social abuses, or stating one group was inherently superior to another. For example, with regards to those that fell under his Ethiopian classification, he stated, I am of opinion that after all these numerous instances I have brought together of Negroes' capacity, it would not be difficult to mention entire well-known provinces of Europe, from out of which you would not easily expect to obtain offhand such good authors, poets, philosophers, and correspondents of the Paris Academy, and on the other hand, there is no so-called savage nation known under the sun which has so much distinguished itself by such examples of perfectibility and original capacity for scientific culture, and thereby attached itself so closely to the most civilized nations of the earth as the Negro. Or as noted Princeton historian Dr. Nell Irvin Painter sums up, Blumenbach wrote forcefully of the kindredness of the human races. He opposed the stress on racial hierarchies of worth by more conservative colleagues in his own university and elsewhere in Europe. There existed only one race of people, he insisted, criticizing those like Dutch anatomist Petrus Camper, whose facial angles prove so useful to scientific racists' so-called great chain of being, linking humankind with apes. Camper's racist elaborators placed Negroes and Kalmucks as close to apes as to Europeans. Possessing the first known Africana library and sharing the motives of future black bibliophiles, Blumenbach dedicated several pages of his contributions to natural history from 1806 to the vindication of Ethiopians, i.e. Africans' capacity for civilization. Throughout his work, and especially in the definitive 1795 edition of On the Natural Variety of Mankind, Blumenbach rejected racial hierarchy and emphasized the unity of mankind. In the end, Blumenbach's classification system ultimately resulted in Caucasian becoming synonymous with white, even though in the third edition of his On the Natural Variety of Mankind, he would downplay skin color as a definitive marker, owing to the observation that many European people, when exposed to significant sun, would become brown. Ultimately, around the mid-20th century, this sort of classification more or less went the way of the dodo in the scientific world, thanks to the switch to the more advanced genetic classifications of different groups. However, for whatever reason in the late 20th century, among the lay people of America particularly, the use of the term once again rose in popularity. As to why, it's generally speculated that it has something to do with people being uncomfortable being called either black or white. Instead, people went with things like Caucasian and African American. But one thing I certainly do know I'm comfortable with is this amazing undershirt from Mack Weldon. Now I have to say, when we first worked with Mack Weldon a few months ago, and before I tried the stuff, honestly, I was kind of the opinion that an undershirt is an undershirt. I mean, who's going to buy a premium undershirt that you wear under your clothes that no one is ever going to see? And I gotta say, honestly, I was totally wrong. I tried this shirt, it is amazing. This shirt is so amazing that I will wash it as fast as I can and wear it again, and then I just order more stuff. I don't really know how to describe this, it just fits better, it actually stays tucked in, it doesn't feel weird, like with cheap undershirts, they always seem to go weird places under a shirt. This doesn't, it stays, everything stays in place. The only way you could do it is just to try it and you will see you won't go back. They also make underwear, socks, hoodies, sweatpants, or as we'd call them in the UK, tracksuit bottoms, which, thinking about it, tracksuit bottoms and sweatpants, they're both kind of weird things to call a piece of clothing. But anyway, Mack Weldon make premium menswear essentials, and they believe in smart designs and premium fabrics. So, I don't know if I mentioned, it also feels super good. I guess that's the premium fabrics, whatever it is, it's awesome. They also have a super easy shopping experience. In fact, they're so confident that you'll love their stuff and the experience and everything like that if you don't like something, they will just give you your money back. No questions asked. Now, not only does it look great, but it also performs well. You can work out in it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's good for a range of stuff. Mack Weldon, they're making better stuff. Simple as that. Don't deny yourself this level of comfort. Don't do it to yourself, people. Get 20% off using our promo code BRAINFOOD. That's one word. Use that at mackweldon.com. You'll also find a link in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching.
Where's this mouse of mine? There you go. Stop. Okay, so that was it, and so basically I took it from Caucasus, the mountains, isn't it? Yeah, so it's interesting. Obviously, it's really kind of outdated way of thinking about it, and yeah, there's an explanation for it. So thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Bye.